And the regular meeting is convened. We've already done the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
So we'll go immediately into council member report on current events. Councilman Allen, would you like to start?
Thank you. I wanted to give you a couple of updates. The Heritage Center is going at great speed. They're making great progress on their restoration project. I've been working very closely with them. They're hosting an upcoming site visit as part of their process to select general contractors. They're working closely with their architects, Grace Design, which is formerly Orcutt Winslow, and they're anticipating breaking ground on their project early next year. So that's exciting. I attended the Westmark Best of the West event, and I wanted to just celebrate a couple of the award winners. Agua Fria Union High School, their Academies of the Southwest Valley, they won an award for excellence in education and workforce development. And then the West Valley Mavericks won an award for quality of life enhancement. So congratulations to those organizations. I recently went to a board retreat where they went through their strategic plan, and I just wanted to talk to you just briefly about their strategic pillars that they're working on, which is promoting the West Valley with one united voice, positioning the West Valley for economic vitality and strategic business attraction, activating key stakeholders, advocating and engaging in policy work that supports these priorities, and then maintaining a dashboard of key indicators through their measurement metrics. So I just wanted to share that with you. January 14th is their upcoming 2026 Governor's State of the State Luncheon at Phoenix Raceway. And then I also wanted to thank Central Arizona Project for the briefing and tour that our assistant city manager and I went on of the Arizona Canal System. It's really amazing to see this just expansive desert and then this blue canal bringing water into the valley. It's really amazing. Carl Hayden's vision for that was just really impressive, and to see him accomplish it took him a long time, but it's a great, amazing accomplishment. Obviously, Litchfield Park joined the Coalition for Protecting Arizona's Lifeline, and part of Central Arizona's projects division is called the Central Arizona Groundwater Replenishment District. And I had asked our city manager to look into this because of our recent discussions regarding the assured water supply and what that means for residents of Litchfield Park who pay through their property tax assessment, are members of this district. And so I think he's going to talk about that in the water report. And there's a lot. This is a busy month. So really just trying to engage and liaison on behalf of our city with other cities and our community members.
Thank you. Councilman Fraser.
No report this month.
Okay. Councilman James.
Just went to the library groundbreaking like we all did. It was really well done.
Councilman Blair.
Yeah, I want to echo the library groundbreaking. I thought Yosha did a great job getting that put together for the team. Went off really well. We had Debbie Lesko there, and that was really well done. Then later that week, we got to do the Performing Arts Center fundraiser. And that was a great event that someone's got to go to. Yes, he really liked that part of my report.
Good job.
But that was, the Historical Society was able to raise quite a bit of money from that. So that was a good event as well. We had another flag raising this past month. That was, I always enjoy those. I think those are great things. We need to try and get that out in the public a little bit more. I think this is the best turnout that I've seen. And I think we're putting some things in place to make sure that they continue to get better. So that'll be great. And then of course we had the Arts Festival. So these festivals are really an important part of who we are and what we do. And I think the cultural aspect of Litchfield Park is that we need to make sure these really stand out. Big, little, however we do it, they have to mean something. So we've got to really make sure that we stick to our guns on these and make them special every time that they happen. That's my report.
Thank you. Is, Councilman Brainerd on the Zoom phone or not? Is she-
I am.
Hey, do you have a report, Councilwoman?
Went to a couple of events as well. One that was not mentioned was the White Tanks Conservancy fundraiser out in the base of the White Tank Mountains at the Corral. And it was a nice event. Attended it with Councilmember Allen and her husband. And it's interesting to see, you know, all the work that's being done to protect what's around us. And I'm glad to see that. Kind of have very little other to report because I've been back and forth between Georgia, so I apologize.
Thank you for your report. We appreciate it. Mr. Vice Mayor.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I went to almost most of these functions, tons of functions, and there's a ton more on the calendar for next month. So busy time of year for all of us.
Lots going on.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the parade.
To the parade?
Yes,
Okay,
I
well.
bought lots of candy and we're gonna throw it out of the car, so I'm excited.
The parade's gonna be a lot, the parade will be a lot of fun.
I'm excited.
It is.
I went to many of the events that have already been mentioned. The only thing I would add is that it was particularly monumental is not the right word, but important that we've got the groundbreaking on the library done. I think the complex up on the hilltop is really going to be something that's going to benefit the entire Southwest Valley, and it will be a point of pride for our residents. So that's something that that I was very happy to see move forward. Also, the flag raising was for the 250th birthday of the Marine Corps and also celebrating Veterans Day, and it was very well attended. We didn't have an absolutely perfect flag raising, but it was a very interesting flag raising because our PA system went out right in the middle of the national anthem, and people in the back and people in the front ended up just picking up the tune and singing it together. So it was quite a moment. So it was a very good flag raising, and I would encourage anybody who didn't come to come, because it is a good way to remember our service members, and once a year to remember the veterans in our community. So with that, we'll go to the city manager report. Do you have something beyond your report in the packet?
Mayor and Council, my report's in your packet. I welcome any questions if you have any.
Do we have questions for the city manager about his report? All right, seeing none, we'll go on to the call of the community, which I don't have any requests to speak on call of the community. I have a request only for a specific agenda item. So this is an opportunity if anybody wants to speak to the council on a non-agenda item. Going once, going twice. All right, we'll move on. Presentations. It's that time of the year again, the fourth quarter, where we get to recognize our employee of the quarter. This year's employee of the quarter is Jenna Huffman. You can see from your packets a number of people that were nominated for this award. Jenna was particularly surprised at getting the award because she's had quite a bit of leave time during this quarter for personal issues she had to deal with. So she was surprised that she was nominated because she didn't feel like she deserved it because wasn't there to be as, to perform the normal things that she performs. I can tell you that she very much deserves it. Everybody here who works with Jenna knows what a wonderful person she is and how dedicated she is to the city and to serving the needs of the people that she works with. So it's a great award, and I'm glad to see that she was recognized for it. So she will get her certificate, which she prepared herself and brought to me to sign. And she will get her prize, which I think is a day off, so it's well deserved. All right, next item is 2025 water report. This is something brand new for us, set forth in our city charter, I think. So this is our first time to have a water report from the administration.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor and council, as the mayor said, this is the first one we've ever done. It is a requirement of the city charter. Because it is the first one, as always, if you have any recommendations or questions, I welcome any. Totally, again, first time we've done one. So if you want to set fire to it, start a new format, I welcome that too. Just let me know as we go. This is the annual water report. Again, it is a city charter requirement. Councilman Allen touched on this already on what's called the 100-year water supply. I get like this with DRB, you're gonna hear me use a lot of acronyms. There's a CAGRD, which is the Central Arizona Groundwater Replenishment District. Homes within certain areas pay into that district through a water bill or through the property tax. However, not all homes in Litchfield Park are in this district. It depends, for example, how long your house has been there. There's a lot of things that apply if you are or not in this district. Homes that are within that district have a 100-year water supply. The reason they have a 100-year water supply is that Liberty is pumping treated effluent back in the aquifer for natural filtering while also replenishing the aquifer. Okay. Again, that's if you're in that district. You have a 100-year water supply. That's an important distinction. One thing I would say on this, for any of you that have ever been involved in water treatment or sewer treatment, it's not the most pleasing thing to think about. But the treated effluent that is put back in the aquifer is cleaner than the water that's taken out to be clean for drinking in the first place. People don't like to hear that, but if you run through the process, it's true. It's a very good scientific process in the way that it works. And that's why a lot of cities around the country, and for example, France has been doing it for a long time, are looking at toilet to tap programs. People don't like to hear about that, but that is the direction it's coming, especially in a state like Arizona.
Don't put that in the meeting.
Yes, sir. So just to be clear, Liberty is a 100% groundwater system. As you guys know, all of Liberty serves all of Litchfield Park for our water and sewer needs. Litchfield Park is very rare from my city experience in that we have no utilities. Again, we're served by Liberty for water and sewer. And Liberty, of course, also serves Goodyear north of I-10. On the non-district side, the Arizona Water, I got to remember that one. Thank you. Arizona Water Department of Resources requires a 100-year water supply. If not met, the applicant can show a DAWS, a designated assured water supply, of which Liberty does not have. So Liberty doesn't have a DAWS, so they can't use that. Or the person can apply for a certificate of conditions. Obviously, there's conditions that have to be met. Liberty is pursuing an alternate ADAWS program because there's other people that are having this problem too. Obviously, you'd be better to be in the district. Okay, I'll learn more about this as I go. I'll push further to Liberty on this question because it's interesting. If you read much online on this, it reads as if Liberty has a 100-year water supply, and they do if you're in the district. If you're not, they don't. So anyway, it's somewhat complicated. PFOS versus PFOS. Obviously, Keith will talk about this some tonight. We all taught this before. I'm not going to try to pronounce those, but PFOS versus PFOS. There was a 2024 reduction by EPD to 4 parts per trillion. Supposedly 4 parts is the smallest measurable standard there is for that. Companies have until 2031 to meet this new standard. That was 2029. It just moved up to 2031. That being said, there was a story a few weeks ago that the Trump administration is looking to roll those standards back to the 2024 standards. Whether that happens or not, it is being discussed. Also, just to be absolutely clear, Liberty is in compliance with the old standard. Again, they don't have to apply by the new standard until 2031. They are abiding by the policy that's in place today. It's very important to understand. Okay. City water usage for 2024, as you see, we spent a lot of money on water. For 2024, we had 4.4 million gallons for $28,000. However, for our right-of-ways and for our parks, we have a lot of green space and we pay for it. We used 134 million gallons or $440,000 in water. There's a lot of water in Litchfield Park.
Can I ask a question on that slide?
Yes, ma'am.
The money for the right of way and for parks, where does that money get paid out of? Is that out of our public works budget? And what percentage of the public works budget is that?
I can get that for you real quick.
It's like
7.85%.
How did you know? That was
So that
really.
would be really impressive. If you don't mind, I'll come back, what page finds that. Thank you. City conservation efforts. The city uses the 2018 IRC, that's the International Residential Code. The IRC sets standards for things like water valves, toilets, those kind of standards that houses use. So we abide by that code as other cities do. For example, toilets that are 1.6 gallons per flush. City staff is working on planning and research for conversion from green space to desertscape. As you guys know, we've been discussing that at length for some time now, for some of our medians to go to desertscape. Also in some areas to go to desertscape that aren't in medians. For example, just out here, if you notice, there's a green strip right here along the back side of the pool fence. That doesn't really serve any purpose, it's just grass. That would be an easy one that we could take out and put in desertscape. That being said, we're known for beautiful green parks at Litchfield Park, and people are gonna see it. Also, when we were planning the hilltop restoration, a council member, we had a first blush at it that had a lot of grass. And council requested that we cut that back for concerns about water conservation, et cetera. And staff reduced grass by approximately 60%. And it still looks great. Obviously, that will save the city a lot of money over the years, less grass for public works to maintain, so on and so forth. We are also looking at the possibility of using gray water for irrigation purposes. Obviously, we'd have to get it here. You have to put in the lines to get it here. But that is something staff is looking at to pursue if that's a possibility. 10%, it's 10% of the public works budget. Good. Obviously, I just said the high points of the water report. Again, if there's anything you'd like to see me add, I'm happy to. Any direction you'd like to see me go.
And Liberty's asking for like an 18% increase this next year, right?
More than that. It's more than 18. It's a big jump. That being said, if I gotta think about it, I don't think they have done an increase, if I remember right, since 2016 or 17. And when you don't do one for 8 years, it adds up. It's much better to have a small increase every year than have a big kick.
But that's gonna turn that 440 into.
Yes, it will. That's right. I have been asked to speak to the ACC on the issue as regarding the Liberty rate study, and I will next spring.
Any other questions from council?
As somebody who was on, I have a question or comment. As somebody who was on the charter, the Board of Freeholders, this was something that was important. And Andrew was on there with me. And so I'm glad that you did this report. I think this gives us a good baseline for where the city is. And I think it also illustrates that we can make improvements as far as water conservation. And now we have, good numbers showing that this is, 10% of our public works budget that's going to increase.
Substantially.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Councilman James?
Just more to this, but also to our continuing efforts to conserve water in this city. Just, I'd like to see it at some point in time. We're going to have a discussion and maybe a cost breakdown on how much we spend in overseed on our parks and approximately spend at water in the winter months. I mean, as you know, right now, granted, this has been an unusually wet fall, but yards that have an overseed are just as green as the rye yards right now because of the amount of rain that we've had. But we have a tremendous amount of park space. One area that jumps out to me is when you come in off of Dysart on the south, right there where you look at the blue floors, and there's a couple of grass areas that green space, we water it, we overseed it, but not very, high trafficked or used areas. So I think as a council and as a city, we're going to have to, at some point in time, have a real serious discussion about overseeding in the park.
Absolutely.
I would actually echo that and say, we're going to plan our water restriction to keep that within the 10% budget line. That to press us to do more desertscape with a timely fashion, to say, hey, we're already spending 10% of the public works budget on water. Let's keep it at that level and continue to try by making these changes to more desertscape. Because otherwise it's going to go to 15, 16% very quickly.
It certainly would.
And just increase the budget, then it'll stay the same.
All days would not allow that.
All right, any other
I
questions?
like the grass.
Councilman Fraser?
The lake, do we have our own well for that?
Yes.
Yes.
How much water do we use annually? Or how much is that well permitted for?
I don't know.
We use it a lot. And we pay for it.
I have the number, it's really, I think we paid $350 a year for the allocation. I got the number back at the office, I think, but we're pretty consistent over the last couple of years, with the same amount of water, so.
Do we have excess capacity? So, I'm looking at these numbers, so you're talking about a gray water system. We're paying $1,000 an acre foot for water in our parks, and we're paying $21.75 an acre foot for our building water. I work for a water district. We sell water for irrigation purposes for $42 an acre foot. We're not in the water district, so you're not eligible for that. But pumping costs generally for a well, probably, when you include O&M, you're in the $160 to $200 an acre foot in pumping costs. So if we have excess capacity and you have the opportunity to draw from the lake as our own gray water system, there's tremendous savings there.
Good idea.
Thank you.
Great idea.
Anything else? Okay, we're gonna go on then to the report section of our agenda. Our first report is from the Goodyear Fire Department. Steve Feinschmidt is here again. I'll be happy to hear that it's his turn.
It is. Actually, I've standing in for somebody today. That's all right. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, presenting you some numbers from the Litchfield Park Fire Activity Report. This last month, October, we had 75 total incidents in and around Litchfield Park. That's up 10 from last month, September, and it's actually the same number as last fiscal year, so 75 incidents last fiscal year. 57 of those were EMS incidents, 3 of those were vehicle accidents, and 1 cardiac arrest event. 1 fire incident, and it just happened to be a trash can fire outside the McDonald's, just outside Dysart and Indian School there. The community response unit responded to 3 incidents. 1 was a cardiac arrest incident. They had an overdose in the vehicle accident they responded to. Fire prevention this month. We actually didn't have very much to report last month, but this month we had 18 occupancy inspections, 1 plan review, and then 1 construction issue. Loloma, we had a total of 13 EMS incidents at that facility. 10 of those customers were transported. On the reporting factor, we had 4 fall incidents, 3 of those were transported. So doing okay there. Hacienda Del Rey, we had a total of 10 EMS incidents there, 9 of those customers were transported, and 6 of those were falls, and all of which were transported. And that wraps up my presentation.
Any questions or comments from the council? Doesn't look like any. Thank you for your service. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Give our appreciation to the guys in the 183.
Yes.
Yeah, please tell them we're happy they're serving us. Thank you. All right, brings us now to the Avondale Police Department report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This past month, we responded to 482 calls for service. That's compared to 471 in October of 2024. 68% of those were officer initiated, while 32% were citizen initiated. This past month, our team did 185 traffic stops compared to 171 in October of 2024. 54 citations were issued this month compared to 39 this time last year. We conducted 88 business checks compared to 60 for October of 2024. For this month, we saw a small decrease in number of calls, but we supplemented those with traffic enforcement. Our team was on Camelback Road for most of the month, doing traffic enforcement there. We also concentrated efforts near Millennium High School due to some speeding complaints that we got there. We deployed our bait car, so it's an unmanned police car during rush hours around that time frame. In addition to that, our team also started to increase the crosswalk and presence. at Litchfield Elementary. So we're assisting with crosswalk duties there with the staff there. And I believe last month I also advised Mayor and Council that we're going to start doing an effort with dogs being unleashed. So our guys and gals did educational efforts, and we did issue 1 criminal citation, but that was an ongoing issue that we had. In addition to that, we also participated in the Arts Festival. And then we've also finalized our plans for Christmas in the Park. So that's squared away and we're ready to go for next month's festivities.
Great. Questions or comments from the council?
One comment.
Yes,
Lieutenant Rios, it's great to see you around the community. So I found out that our sons go to school together, they're actually in the same class. And I was asking Lieutenant Rios, how many officers that serve Litchfield Park live in and around the community?
so from Avondale, I think we have about 8 police officers that have kids that go to Litchfield Elementary. And in total, I think there's about 15 police officers whose kids go to that school. So although I don't live in the city, I always heard great things about Litchfield Elementary. We live in Fulton Estates, so it's across the way, and we love that school. And we have nothing but great things to say about the staff and the education that we get from our school. So it has a special place in our heart, and we love that our kids are getting grade A education there.
I just wanted to bring it up. I was not here when we had Maricopa County Sheriff, but I think, one of the other fortunate things with this agreement with Avondale is the police officers that serve our community live in our community. And I think that's a very big deal. So thank you.
It is a big deal. We appreciate the service all of your guys give, but we are very happy. I'm very happy to hear that your kids are participating and being able to enjoy the community and the school district, and hopefully it will go on for many years.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
So thank you for your report.
Thank you.
On a business note, one of the reason that we had asked you to watch for the area around Millennium High School and Village Parkway is because we had specific complaints from some of our residents. I'm assuming staff has not checked back with those residents, but I think you should.
Yes, be glad to, sir.
Maybe set up some regular communication to see if they see any difference, because we know you're doing more. So now it would be nice to see if our residents actually can, are they experiencing less speed and having less concerns about that?
Absolutely.
And then the city manager will get back to you and let you know, so your guys can get some feedback on their efforts.
Sounds great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item up is staff reports. First report is from our finance area.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The full finance report is included in your packet. This month, I just had a couple things I wanted to point out, if that's okay. First is sales tax for the month of October. We had a really good month. It was up 24% over October of last year. Specifically in the other category, so I'm unable to give you any details about that, but we did receive a large payment in one of those categories. I did verify that it is a business within the city. I will consider that just a one-time payment, so I won't include that in any forecast, but that has helped bring our overall year over year nearly flat, so we're just down 1% over last year. And then moving on to the final page in the finance report. Thank you to Councilmember James for pointing out an error that I made in my calculation on our restricted fund balance. This is the corrected version here. I had made an error in my calculation, and I also added the 1 year of debt service payments as restricted. That will be up for approval and consent tonight. So I went ahead and added that. And that brings our remaining fund balance available to spend after what we've restricted and what we've committed to with certain projects to 10.3 million. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from council? Thank you for your report.
Thank you.
Contamination plume update. Do we have an update on that, Mr. City Engineer?
Mr. Mayor, thank you, members of council. The report is in the packet. I'll entertain any questions. I did want to note that we got a lot of information recently. The government shutdown kind of worried me because some of the traffic with PGA slowed down to halt. But fortunately, 5 or 10 days ago, I started getting a little bit more information. I was able to include in the packets. Do you have any questions?
Council.
One, so, Matthew, I saw you recently went over and met with Luke and kind of updated him on a lot of projects. Did this come up as a topic of conversation?
No, sir, it did not. They were more interested in our Hilltop projects and how it was going to affect traffic on Litchfield Road, sir.
Okay. Moving on. We have a capital improvement projects update.
Mayor, members of council, information is in your packet. A lot of movement on the CIP this month. If anybody has any questions or want to go over anything, I'm happy to discuss.
Rock, paper, scissors?
No.
Okay. So on the Hilltop Phase 1, it says that construction is anticipated to begin this fall. Is that gonna happen like in the next month?
Great question, Councilmember Allen. So we have 60% plans, and they're working towards the next stage. What we did with the Britton Avenue roundabout and passed out the 60% plans to some contractors for a bid is the same plan we're going to do for Hilltop Phase 1. So we will probably have to shift that because we needed to work out quite a few more items on the Hilltop project versus the roundabout. I know we talked about grass, we talked about the playground and shifting a few things. So there were some significant changes. Liberty is also throwing a nice curveball at us with pressures, getting water up to the hilltop, and we're still working that out, whether we have to pump it or increase line sizes. We got a report of 6 PSI might happen at the top of the hill if it's a very bad water day, and that didn't sit very well. That's probably a trickle out of the hose. So once we work these couple of things out, we are going to engage a few contractors who do specialize in parks and they're on cooperatives. We know Hayden does that. We know a few other contractors that are good contractors that are on co-ops for parks, and we're going to engage them.
James.
Just curious if the onslaught of rain the last few days is gonna cause any communications come out. That's, I mean, like I saw in Camelback Park, they dug the holes out, they had the footers in, they started to pour concrete, and then they came back the next day and the entire thing was full of water.
Councilmember James, definitely have received no less than a half a dozen calls from various contractors. That is exactly what's happening, rain days, which is justifiable. We had several of them have gauges, so we got I think a half an inch in a half hour, which is a lot of water. In one spot, the hilltop, we were up there today, there's little lakes everywhere. We specifically brought up the point that there are no add-ons for rain days at the end of the contract because we have a hard date, July 31st, to get everything open, and they understand that. Camelback Park is slated to, according to the contractor, there potentially could be done the third week of December. So even if I added a few days to that, that's not a bad schedule.
Well,
On the Litchfield Road, Britton Avenue roundabout, there was a sentence in there that caused me a little, that I wanted to ask you a question about. And it says the underpass alignment was shifted south near the southern boundary of the Agua Fria High School. Can you tell me when that decision was made and where it is now being planned?
Councilmember Allen, so that decision, I think we made before the last council meeting. It was going across just south of the roundabout. Now it's the southern boundary, just south of the southern boundary of the Hilltop property. So if you're familiar with the buildings and there's a bus pull through where the new school where they're going to come in, the new alignment is just south of that.
And so my question then is that outside of the city of Litchfield's Hilltop property? Does that then encroach into Sun Health property?
Laterally, it does. There is right away, I think it's 60 feet out there. Then there's an 8-foot PUE and depending on where you are, I think a 30-foot drainage easement. So we have a lot of room to make the runouts go north and south. So the underpass will go east and west, and the runouts to get into it will go north and south without encroaching on the Sun Health's property as of our last layout.
So let me go back to the question I asked. So what caused this change? Why did you decide to move it?
Well, we presented several options to management, to Matthew and several department heads, and there are a significant amount of utility interactions at the roundabout. The roundabout itself caused the southbound exit of the roundabout to heavily encroach very closely to the parking lot of Agua Fria. The issue that caused is it moved the lanes over, moved the sidewalk over, and the parking lot of Agua Fria is north, the parking lot on the north side of the buildings, everything's touching each other now because of the round. So in order for us to have an outlet or a run out for the underpass, we would have had to take a significant portion of either the parking lot, or there's two storm drain lines in between Litchfield Road and the new high school buildings. Those storm drain lines are very important to the overall storm drain design of the Agua Fria and library parcel, not to mention the Hilltop. Those don't have anywhere to go. So we couldn't go out into the street, we couldn't go on the other side of the school. We would have to go back to the drawing board with storm drain.
So the storm drain was the issue?
Storm drain and the encroachment of the parking lot. We wouldn't have anywhere to let people out of the underpass unless it was into the parking lot, essentially, of the high school.
That's if it was at the roundabout location. One of the big reasons with moving it, because the underpass is very complicated, not so much in the underpass itself, but the ramps at the ends of it, how you get in and out of the underpass, how steep they can be. That gets really complicated. Like you think about the one right out here, you've got the ramps that run east and west that gradually come out. Trying to do that where obviously, so the way we've got designed now is you'll have stairs on one side and then you'll have a ramp here. But even then it's a question of switchbacks and how you want people to actually want to use it, right? What ADA. What's interesting now is where we have it right now is where it was supposed to be 25 years ago. There was a document 25 years ago that had our underpass right there. And if you look at the landlines, that's where it was supposed to be. We didn't move it back because of that reason, but it gets complicated.
Does the new placement of it affect Agua Fria's construction at all? So they're able to proceed without impact?
Correct. Impact wise, we still have to tear up Litchfield Road to build it.
Right.
The northbound bus lanes will have some sort of impact. If we can come back and build it later, the construction will impact it, but there is no impact to Agua Fria. The design that they already had for the drainage to come out of that area already is designed and approved. We have easements that are going in on the Sun Health property for the outlet of the water. The receipt of that water, so now we're building an underpass really close to a channel. That channel, we will have to more than likely design some culvert pipes to replace an open channel because we're so close to it. We have to have a retaining wall, let people out. Well, the channel is going to be in that area, so we might have a run of a few pipes, but we're not going to negatively affect what Agua Fria is doing.
So my next question then is, we have a DA with Sun Health they're supposed to be doing that curb from the high school to Litchfield, to Camelback. So how does that impact Sun Health?
So Sun Health has submitted several sets of plans, and we're hoping to approve them anytime for the widening. The widening plans have the drainage channel on them. So there's the right of way, 8-foot public utility easement, and then a drainage easement. That drainage easement is for a channel to run along the west side of Litchfield, and it outlets at the northwest corner of Camelback and Litchfield, where there's already an existing underpass where it goes into the concrete channel along Fry's. So that's already part of the design, and it accepts all the flows. It's big enough to accept all the flows from Litchfield Road, from the Agua Fria school, from the Hilltop, and from the library, and from Sun Health property itself.
Just a quick reminder, the underpass is not a DA requirement with Agua Fria. It's not in there. So it doesn't meet that July requirement for July of summer 2026. There's a snowball chance that that underpass is done by the summer. It's just not. Keith, what did Southwest Gas tell us to move that pipeline?
Just to order the pipe, I think it was 6 months, let alone design time. We're looking at 9 to 10 months before we could even get their final plans.
So in a roundabout way, what we're telling you is we will get the roundabout done by this summer. Sun Health is going to build the Litchfield Road improvements. However, at some point you're going to tear them up to put that underpass in. I'd like to tell you you could build them at the same time, but you can't. Not in that one area. I know that's not the answer you want to hear. I don't want to either. I'd like to build it all at the same time. Also, I don't want to cut up fresh asphalt.
So is then that going to be a cost to the city then to tear everything up and replace it? Because I can imagine that Sun Health isn't going to want to.
No, ma'am, they would not. No, that would be on us. Because it'd be great if we could if we could bore it and put in the box culvert underneath it. The problem there is the utilities. We have a big gas line there.
And to add to that, so that's a concern I do have. I hate putting things in and ripping it back up. So we have contingency options where we would potentially do a smaller section of median or just put the base course of asphalt in the south half of the roundabout, just on the south leg.
Right.
In the north leg. We have a couple of things to really decrease the impact of the cost impact of it. So that when we do put the box culvert in, then that contractor will finish those small pieces.
There's one other question that I wanted to ask about, and that is that in design plans, the city has spent or is obligated to spend $200,000 on the roundabout for a total construction budget for the roundabout as of right now, $2.2 million. And then we're spending $258,000 in plans on the underpass. And that's a total budget of $1.2 million. And I'm just questioning the cost because you've told me about all of the engineering and the infrastructure that has to go into this underpass. So I'm really wondering if that's an appropriate amount for that underpass, because I don't want to get into a situation where we have our CIP budget, we have all of this, and then all of a sudden we are experiencing increased cost, and that's going to come up against our potential debt limit policy. Like, I want to make sure that we're spending our money appropriately and necessary.
Yes, ma'am. That's a fair point. I would tell you, we put all the road improvements in this year's budget. We knew we couldn't possibly build them all this year, but we put all the money in there as if we could. So because of that, you have plenty of flex as far as this project go. I think it's a great question. For example, there's an item on the roundabout tonight, as you just said, that memo says that we're going to build the roundabout for 2.2. We're going to ask you guys tonight to approve us to negotiate up to not to exceed 2.8 on the roundabout.
Yes. And so I have another comment about the roundabout, but going back to the underpass really quickly, I just want to make sure that we're dealing with a full deck of cards, because that underpass that we did under Litchfield was like $2.8 million. And this one is coming in at, you're budgeting 1.2 million. Does that include the money that we've already spent on the plans? I just want to make sure that we're all got a full deck of cards, because this is important. I want to, one of the things that I feel strongly about is fiscal responsibility. So I just want to make sure that we're being responsible with our plans and our
So I think,
funds.
we've already actually let the contract for the engineering. The engineering work on the underpass, it's already part of a contract, so that number's a hard number. It's hard to compare that underpass with this underpass, because this underpass was built with ADOT and the Federal Highway Administration involved in everything, so that you could probably multiply the costs by 100%. I mean, literally that much. So it's, I don't think we have an expensive public art plan for inside of this culvert. There's the number of differences are more than the fact that they're similar. They're similar in that there's going to be a culvert underneath the road, but the actual underpass itself is just totally different because of the way it was done. And the only thing that I'm not clear on is, because I haven't really looked at plans, but that we have an adequate drainage pump system similar to what we have here.
Mr. Mayor, so we actually were just going over the drainage system. There is the engineers haven't put vertical to it yet. We're going to the horizontal. I was going to say we probably worked back and forth on a dozen alignments on the underpass to determine where we are now. If we were at the original position, the run out of the ADA path is downhill, so the water would have just gravity. What we're talking about in this, so we don't have a pump here. We have a system of French drains and dry wells that are underneath the slab, underneath the
Right.
So that is a standard practice for underpasses, pedestrian underpasses in various locations in the state and other locations. We have potential to do kind of a half where we'll have some ability to run out the drainage into the drainage channel. And then depending on the slope of the road and how deep we actually end up going, we'll have to do another dry well combination, kind of what we're doing here. So we have a couple of options, and then I'm gonna have them set it up, so that if for any reason the dry well fails, it's not gonna be a sump and we run a pump into it and we'll have a conduit already there. So we're thinking for the future, if for any reason it
Yeah,
fails.
that's probably the place, that's the area of biggest risk in terms of building an underpass, is how do you drain it and get it, if you solve that problem, then the rest of it's pretty standard. I mean, it's a standard culvert that just goes on the road. You gotta pay some sidewalks on both sides. It's not as complicated as you might think. Other than the drainage, the
And-
drainage is complicated.
The underpass here, also, I think all four signals had to get rebuilt. There was an ITS component. There was a significant storm drain system that was already there that had to get relocated. I know that there was several utilities that had to be vertically realigned that were not part of a franchise agreement. And so when they're not in a franchise or right of way agreement, that the city pays that cost. So when I go back and look at the ADOT expenses, the 2.8 million, there was quite a bit of it that was utility relocations. The fortunate thing that we have for Southwest Gas is when they put that 12-inch line in 2.5 years ago, that was all in by permit. So anytime they conflict with us, they have to move out of our way at their cost, which is another reason why it's going to take so long, because they're not motivated to spend $150,000 to vertically realign the 12-inch line they just put in. We do have some other dry utilities that are in there, but again, we have franchise agreements with them, so that the cost for those, the design and the construction should be covered. So that, I know it seems a little weird that we're less than half of the cost of this underpass, and the mayor's right on with federal projects. I've done a bunch of them. They're at least twice the price.
When we started this underpass, we thought we could do it for less than $1 million. So it would just, every time you turned around, something added 100,000. It's why it took us, I don't know, 5 or 6 years probably to get the money to build it. Because every time it would go up 200,000, I would say, okay, cancel it. And then we literally, then we go back to MAG and we get another 200,000 from someplace and okay, put it back on. It went on for like 5 years to get the money to build it. So it's just, they're just totally different.
I have one more question. Thank you for indulging me. I have had a lot of discussions recently about submitting 60% plans. And how that can sometimes have additional costs associated with it. So what is the plan for the underpass? Have you already started at 60% plan, or the underpass is the 60% plans, right?
No,
What is it at?
8.5.
Okay, so that's not,
Roundabouts at 60%.
okay, I'm fine then.
It's a good concern. 60% plans is something we have on several spots in here. The reason why we have a method to the madness, and so the selection of contractors is off of cooperative contracts and with the JOC. So good contractors with good rapport, that's why they're on a JOC. It's quality based, not just dollar based. When you use a cooperative contract with a contractor like that, one of the benefits is you can have them come out with pre-construction services and basically treat it like a CMOM. So that's what we're doing with the roundabout. So the contractor we're going to select is going to have a pre-construction arm of $10,000 or $15,000, something like that. We haven't worked that out yet. They're going to look at the 60% plans. They're going to give us a price, and they're going to look at the 60% plans. We're going to work out the constructability issues and literally work towards what's similar to a GMP, a guaranteed maximum price, which is what the CMAR does. Now, the caveat to that is you're at 60% plans, we have a bid tab, and they are going to find some things. There's always something that a contractor who does a pre-construction link to a project finds, whether it's a utility line that they somehow found an as-built that we weren't provided, or it's this kind of APS street light pole has a bigger foundation than the engineer put. There's always something they'll find. The hope is that when they refine their individual bid prices and add a few more line items for the things that are unknowns at the time of 60%, that it's not a huge jump. So in our contracts, we have language to say if it's a 5% change, the city reserves the right to cancel the contract and go with a different contractor, if that does happen. The way I hedge my bet on that is when I do get these bid tabs from the contractors, I add line items that I know are things that need to be at least an assumption by the contractor. For instance, we didn't have APS's design for the streetlight point of service. The streetlights have to get powered, right? So the engineers don't usually put that in, but I've done hundreds of millions of dollars of construction management in my time. I know that there's these other half a dozen line items that we put assumptions in for that cost. So we have that in there. We have landscaping, we have unknown adjustments, unknown utilities we always run into, the MWD line out there I don't know about. You know, all these different things. So we added various line items and put a lump sum cost price in there, put a contingency in there, added general conditions, 8 or 10 different general conditions, and we come up with a cost estimate. That gives us the comfortability that when a contractor bids it, that they're going to put a price to each one of those. And fortunately, the price that I came up with in our low bid that we're going to talk about later, or I think I was $150,000 off. So we at least are accounting for the changes that we think are coming. I don't want to get surprised either.
I was gonna save those questions for later, but
That would be good,
I'm not.
because we're gonna have a full discussion of
Okay.
the roundabout. Okay, is there anything else for Mr. Dorensky? Nope. Well, I'm gonna end it on a high note, so make it a public note to say thank you. There have been some issues with the relationships between our engineering and planning, building departments and the Wigwam, and particularly Mr. Seaside. I was happy to find out that he came back as of whatever, last week, last Tuesday, I guess it was, and said he loves you guys now. You're now his favorite people to have. He wants to have dinner with you, and you know, you're just like part of the family. So you guys have done a good job at working with him. And I wanted to say thank you.
I'm not in competition.
I don't know how you did it. Very few people have ever, I literally have heard him say that as nice as he was, it's unusual. So you should be congratulated for the work you did on that.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, this brings us to special projects update. Crouch.
Mayor, members of council, good evening. Be happy to address any questions or comments, concerns regarding special projects related to Litchfield Square, the La Loma Restoration Project, the Thomas Project, or Xeriscape, or objective standards, or anything else you'd like to ask me.
I'm looking at Councilman Allen to see if.
Objective is like a 4-letter word now.
Councilman James.
Just a quick comment, just appreciate you guys, have a relationship with, Mr. O'Connor, and I know when he got you the plans, and you guys had said, hey, he didn't necessarily follow the right process, but it sounds like from what I read in the report that it's back in his court, everything's going down the correct path, so.
Thank you, Councilmember James. We're always happy to address any concerns he has as a member of the community. I know that project is a long time coming, and we're eager to see it as much as you are.
Okay, any questions, comments, nothing else? Well, it looks like a great job you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep planning. We have lots of. All right, next item is Ms. Cool.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The report is in your packet. Just wanted to note that I changed up the format a little bit based on your feedback, Mayor, for more graphical representation of the information. So hopefully it's something you like, more of what you'd like to see and a little bit more engaging to me.
I appreciate the changes you made to the presentation. It gives us a good idea of how many pieces are going in and where they're going. So still would be good if we could figure out a way to measure their impact. So that might just put that in your thinking cap and see if there's things that we could identify that, you know, that the communication has impacted someone in some particular way that either changed a behavior or eliminated a need for something.
Okay, yeah, I will definitely keep that in mind.
Any other questions or comments?
I have a comment.
Councilman
One thing that when I was going through the drafting the new, or not the new, drafting the text code amendment, the ordinance, sorry, there's a lot of words in my head. One of the things that had become clear was that a lot of people didn't know that there was a meeting happening, or there was some confusion. And I know that the city does their best to comply with the public noticing requirements and everything like that. And so while I think that that is great, I think that we could potentially do more. I think there's an opportunity to do more. Is there a way that we can push out messaging on different social media channels saying that there is here's our calendar of events for the month, or even for the week, to say we have a design review board meeting on this day, we have the planning and zoning, all the different commissions and boards. Is there an opportunity to do that with our social media?
Sure, I think it's just a balance of finding that right, not too early, but not too late. Because you mentioned maybe a month, posting a month ahead, or posting a month of events. So I'll just take a look at what might be the best way to do that, but we can absolutely utilize social for that.
Yeah, I guess maybe just like an opportunity to message people that things are happening. You're the
Definitely.
expert on how the best timing would be.
Yes, I will think through that.
We think that maybe utilizing the city line, since we're digital now with that, using that mailing base as a way, and then using some posts to get people to sign up for more of that, so that we have a city line that actually really goes out to the majority of the people in the city, trying to get people more signed up for that. And then you have that calendar you can push out through that way as well. So it's not just a social media post, it's something that they're getting on a monthly basis. Or
Yeah, I think so. We did utilize City Line this current issue for some meetings, and City Line is quarterly. So I think utilizing both social obviously is more immediate, but just having that kind of forward-looking quarterly look for City Line would be useful as well.
Do we have people signed up to receive City Line? I mean,
Yes, both digital and physical. The physical.
We send it out by email already, right?
yeah, so that's what I'm saying. We have a database of email addresses that we could create this calendar that goes out on whatever basis you want to send it out, but also use social media to get people to sign up to receive these notices, as well as the city line. So you have more of a citywide database of contact.
Yeah, we can work on kind of building up that database.
Yeah, if you've already got a database for the City Line, and it costs almost nothing to push out an email, blast email, even once a week or twice a month, whatever, with a calendar that will keep everybody informed.
Yeah, definitely. I know that when a new story is published, I can immediately push that out to subscribers. So I can take a look at that and utilizing that a little bit more.
So the emails that we use to send the City Line to, they're not just in something you can just send as an email to those subscribers?
No, not right now. It has to be connected to a specific, something published to the website, whether that, I don't know. I'll have to take a look if that includes events. It includes stories and articles right now. So I can take a look and see if I can connect that to the calendar as well.
Yeah, if you have the email addresses, we just need to build a database for those addresses so we can send out a calendar.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of connecting the two.
Any other comments or questions?
Good job on the library, groundbreaking.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job.
Thank
you. I really like the speech particularly.
Oh, well. You were very well spoken, sir.
Thank you. All right. If there's nothing else, thank you for your hard work. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
There's a magistrate court report in your packets. So if you have any questions about it, see the city manager. Next item is a consent agenda, item 8. We have items A through F. Councilman Frazier has asked to take for F off. Is there any other item that anybody wishes to take off? If not, is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda, items 7A through E? So moved. Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, consent agenda is adopted. Item 7F, with the exception of item 7F. Mr. Fisher, what would you like to do with that?
Just a brief question. So, we're moving a tremendous amount of dirt, and I think Litchfield Parks, I guess part of this agreement is that it's our dirt, and so we have to agree to give it to Sun Health. I guess my only concern when I read it is it's a tremendous amount of dirt. That's a huge spoil pile. Is it the intent that when this dirt is moved, that it is spread evenly across that parcel? Or are we talking about setting, huge spoil piles on a corner that may not be developed for a while?
Let me throw a couple points in there and then Keith can elaborate on that further. So not all of the dirt stockpile is going to Sun Health property. Some of that is going to be spread out among various sites around the hilltop. For example, around the retaining walls, there's some others that are going to be filled in. So not all that dirt would move to Sun Health. There's some that we will use in different places. McCarthy is also talking about giving some to a company that they know. Per the Agua Fria DA, Agua Fria is responsible for moving that dirt, for putting it where it needs to be. What this agreement does is basically, so Agua Fria voted last week to give their staff the same authority that we're asking you for. And if this is approved, it would give us the authority as well. That being said, the document doesn't exist yet. The Sun Health attorney has drafted the document. This is basically blessing the dirt to go to Sun Health. As far as the dirt being moved around the campus, of course, we have Sun Health staff here with us. It's my understanding the dirt's gonna be spread around the property there that's south of the high school. And it's about 2 foot of dirt, right? 1 foot, 1 foot.
12 inches.
That was my only question. I've just seen massive spoil piles that get moved and then they stay massive spoil piles, and we're building a beautiful high school and a beautiful hilltop. I just didn't want to see a dirt mound.
Yes, sir.
Good point.
That specific thought with Sun Health, Disney specifically didn't want to have extra dirt, and piles are a problem, so flatten them out and compact them, walk away.
Okay, is there a motion to approve item 7F, the agreement with Agua Fria and Sun Health?
So moved.
Any discussion?
We don't have an agreement, do we?
It doesn't exist yet, sir. It's basically giving staff the authority to sign an agreement, sir. The document doesn't exist yet.
Do you need a motion to do that?
Yeah, well, we need a motion. I guess I should have read the whole thing. It says agreement with, but we don't have it drafted yet, so let's negotiate the agreement with Sun Health and Agua Fria.
Does that give us the authority to sign?
and sign.
Negotiate and sign. As long as there's no spoil pot, no.
Subject
dirt
to review
hills.
and approval by the city attorney.
Yeah. I like that motion. So is somebody gonna make that motion?
And at no cost.
Huh?
And at no cost.
Okay, you wanna make the motion?
Sure.
All right. So he's made the motion that has all those words in it that we just talked about.
Manager signed, city attorney approved at no cost to us.
And no dirt. hills.
For free? Him too, yeah.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, item 7F is passed. We actually have a request to speak from Mr. Colbreth on 8D.
Yeah, it's the Scout Lodge, right?
So I'm gonna take 8D out of order, but you don't have to sit any longer than necessary. You wanna speak? What?
I'm happy to stay.
Okay, then we'll just pick it regular order. It's fine with me.
Got nothing else trying to get rid of it.
Next item, item 8A, public work facility conceptual design.
Mayor, members of council, good evening. Over the next 3 hours and 57 slides, I hope Sunny doesn't mind the presentation about that. The public works facility, this is something we wanted to bring before you. We brought it before DRB earlier this month, and we're happy to show it to you as far as the next steps towards getting this under construction. So our property is zoned public facility. This is a modernization effort of the public works yard. It would include demolishing what is there today. The modular building will be gone. The fire house will be gone. This is a new facility, parking lot, landscaping, and secured storage. This is an item that has been approved through the capital improvement budget for this current fiscal year. So we are happy to get this to the stage you are seeing it this evening, and hopefully towards construction as soon as possible. I have 4 depictions here for you. This is a little bit further away, I have each of those in more detail in the following slides. I'll go through one by one. So is if you were at Desert Avenue looking south at the main facade of the building, this is what is being proposed by our architecture team at Motley. I will tell you that there was a lot of discussion about this item at DRB earlier this month, and there's a number of considerations that they had that we certainly want to present to you this evening, and certainly welcome your feedback as well. I'll go through those as we go through the slides. Just very specifically, and this is why we have design review board, and we're happy to have a design review board and have the citizens input so they see things that I might not see, and we all end up with the kind of building that we want. So as we know, this is, as far as buildings go, this is a very big investment. Certainly with the price tag, it's double the bathroom in Litchfield Park Square, and certainly a lot larger for a lot more reasons. So they had a lot of questions and comments regarding just this roof line. They wanted to see a little bit of finessing, I'd say, of what this looks like. They made it akin to a dog ear sort of situations, as if this was the head and those were the ears sticking up. They asked for some additional considerations there, as well as you'll see here in the roof line, the shingles sort of just dead end, not into the corner of the building, not into the parapet, but sort of somewhat stick out in that situation. And then additionally, this is if you were flying in the air looking southeast towards Indian School Road. There's a lot of conversation about the dentals as they were the teeth, these little scalloped edges. In their eyes and in their words, and I went back and watched the board meeting before I came in this evening, it seemed as though the design was disjointed. There, as if there were multiple buildings somewhat pushed together that didn't really have a consistent theme or design throughout that length of the facade from north to south. Now, certainly why it is the way it is we do have a pronounced entry feature, so you do know where the front door is. We have parapeted the main office building as well as the shop building to the south, sort of in the campus, to minimize its height overall. With what they needed for those garage doors and the truck bays and storage on the mezzanine in the rear half of the building, we did not want to then pitch the roof and make it that much taller. By code allowance, we can go up to 45 feet. We have no desire to go 45 feet. This building is just a hair over 25 feet as being presented. Here's a look on Old Litchfield Road, looking southwest. We would, the existing wall is there today, as well as the rolling gates. These would all continue to exist as is. Those are a touch under 10 feet in height. What is new is just trash enclosures. Those would now be able to be picked up without the truck having to go into the secure area and make the full loop around the site. You'll see here, this is a very early rendering. I'm not showing landscaping. There will be landscaping. There won't be, a dirt parking lot as it would be asphalt, as well as concrete wrapping around the more heavily trafficked areas. And again, here's just the same view, just a little bit higher into the area. As far as the site plan goes, we have utilized every inch of space to the extent possible. We are trying to plan not only for today's concerns, but tomorrow's concerns. We have put as many parking spaces as we can, not only for staff, but visitors as well. Our trucks, areas for our street sweepers would remain essentially where they are today within the yard. There's a new fueling area here that would also have a change to Old Litchfield Road that trucks, our trucks could come up and refuel from Old Litchfield Road without having to do the full loop around the building. There's an area of shaded covered area. But the other thing we were running into, and certainly have run into over a number of years, is the weatherization of our equipment and our supplies and our parts. So there is a mezzanine, and I'll show you the floor plan coming up. There's a mezzanine space above the truck bays, as well as covered storage for those areas that can be outside, but do need a little bit more protection from the sun. You'll see badge access or card access gates here that slides, and here that swings. And again, you'll see landscaping consistent with what we're doing now for Litchfield Square along this front and along this main entry. As far as the building itself goes, Again, we are planning not only for the public works staff, but the community development staff. There are a number of offices here along the front. There is, I'd say, an enhanced open lobby area for people to come in and do business, have plans submitted, as this is not only a facility for our employees, but it is a public facing facility. So is a public lobby as well as a public restroom. This space is not only intended for lunch for the approximate 30 persons that work in public works, but it is also intended to be training space. Training space is something very hard to come by, especially when you do have a department that is essentially half of the city's workforce. We didn't need to accommodate that sort of situation to have that space available. There's a small kitchen area directly next to that, as well as an IT closet for all equipment, a number of storage rooms, and then a meeting space, as well as, you know, the copiers and fax. If we still do fax, I think we may need to for HR purposes. And then here at the end of the office space are the bathroom and locker facilities. Now, once you get past that point, you go into the garage space, the yard space. These do have roll-up doors in order for trucks to come in, come out. There are workbenches for part repairs, assembly, that sort of thing along the southern wall. And then there is stairwell to get up to the mezzanine for additional storage. As you know, we were hurting for storage. We were looking, we rent several storage units in nearby Avondale for just the amount of equipment or seasonal things that we need to put somewhere. This site, along with the small public works yard that's being planned behind lot 1 and lot 2 in Litchfield Square, as well as a small yard that's being proposed and planned within the Hilltop, can start to really alleviate these situations and make sure I don't have to give another dollar to Avondale if I can avoid it. So as far as our analysis goes, you know, it ebbs and flows between 25 and 30 persons within that public works department, along with our community development staff. And we do feel as though we have utilized every inch of this site for today and tomorrow's needs. It does meet our intentions of Section 39. That's just a little bit of code talk carried over from our design review board as part of our presentation for this evening. So as far as formal recommendation, we would ask to approve the public works facility at 105 Desert Avenue. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
What was the end result of the questions about it looking disjointed? Did you decide that it isn't disjointed, or it is disjointed and you're just gonna go with it?
Mayor, one of the spoils I have as your city planner is having a design review board that can supplement my technical black and white way of looking at things, sometimes maybe to a fault, to really see things that I might not see, especially having 2 architects on the board. Often a planner and architect are in conflict with each other, not as much as the engineer, but sometimes just as badly. So I don't think a conclusion or an alteration was determined by the board, rather than a request to continue to evaluate what is being presented for you this evening. We can certainly handle this very similarly to how we're handling the park. If we don't feel as though the design review board's responses or your responses are close enough to what we want, we can certainly bring this before you again through further updates and revisions.
I'm not sure I'm not sure whether it needs to come to us again. I think, you know, it's time for us to get this either approved or not approved. But I do agree that it looks disjointed, and I don't particularly like that part of it. So, and it does need some massaging. Councilman Clare.
I've got quite a few problems with this facility. First, I can't imagine that Public Works is a public facing space where people are going to Public Works to get anything done. They'll go to City Hall and have a complaint instead of going to the Public Works facility. So the entirety of the public space doesn't make sense to me. So the grand entrance and the public space, and we've got 25 people, and we've got 5 different offices, 6 offices, a conference room. It just seems to be overkill. Open meeting space, training space, fully understand that. But I mean, I live in a blue collar world, and this type of environment is not built for any of our employees. These guys are out in the field. They come in, they go to dispatch, then they go out and take care of their work. I don't believe they're coming back for lunch, to have a common lunch on a regular basis. So to me, there's a lot of waste in this space. And we've planned for something significantly more than what we actually could use.
Councilmember Claire, to that point, sir, it's not just for Public Works. We plan on moving community development there too. So Keith's office would be there, the planner would be there, the building official would be there, because it makes sense for those two departments to be together. So the public area there, part of that is that your administrative assistant, Stacy, she would be there in front to see people that would come in about plans for buildings, that sort of thing. We were trying to plan.
So submit plans in, in this spot?
Yes, sir. They can come in. Yes, sir. That's correct.
Could or-
That's why you see the additional offices, sir.
We're talking about more than a public works building. We're talking about engineering being there. We're talking about planning being there.
Office wise, yes, sir. That's
So
correct.
you guys
Code
will
enforcement.
no longer be housed in City Hall.
Right. Because it makes sense for them to be together.
This is a different facility than how it's been presented.
In the past, yes, sir. So there is offices for them as well.
And just to round out the numbers, Councilman Claire, it is engineering, planning, building, code enforcement, as well as our public works staff is what is being presented.
Another point I would say to that is that when you plan to build a public facility like this, generally you plan to build it for 40 years. So we tried to do just that, to give us enough room for growth in the future. 'Cause obviously, it's a huge step up from what it is today. That being said, we planned, I think we budgeted, help me guys, 2 million for this building. And this is, what do we put this at now, Keith?
1.9.
1.9. That being said, this is just for conceptual design. If council chooses to approve this, we would go out for a contract for construction and bring that contract back for future council consideration. To the mayor's question about design, you may remember some years ago when we approved the hearth design, there was some council hesitation on some of the DRB elements. And you guys approved the hearth preliminary design, but referred certain issues to go back to DRBs. I think it was landscaping. You could certainly do the same thing here. You could approve the preliminary design and refer it back to DRB for issues X, Y, and Z. Councilmember Allen, if I cut you off, I didn't mean to.
Councilman Allen?
I don't like the outside of it. I think it looks like, what did I wrote? Shopping complex strip mall. That's what it looks like to me. This is Litchfield Park, and we have talked so much about holding ourselves to a higher standard. And I don't feel like that, we don't have that many more public buildings that we're building. We had a real challenge with the library design coming to us like 90% done, and we weren't able to have the input I think that we would have liked on that. And so I'm glad that we're seeing this now, because I feel like we are able to have input on this, and we are able to have the opportunity to make some changes and improvements to the appearance now before we get too far into the process. I would want to send this back to DRB and say, work with them some more, because this is not, I think, good for this kind of public building.
Councilman James?
I would comment the other way and say, I think I'm a little indifferent to it, because when you look at the position of that lot, it sits so far back. So where your shop is, you're just gonna see the backside of that. I think from a community standpoint, as you're driving down Desert or driving down Old Litchfield Road, you're just kind of seeing this aspect of it and a gate right here. The only concern that really, but I respect y'all's opinion. If you want to send it back, that's fine. But the only thing I saw is, do you have a 360 view top down on this slide?
Councilmember James, I have a few that are slightly higher, but other than that, I have the site plan and floor plans.
The only thing that kind of jumped out at me that's missing is, you need like a washout space, a wash space, something where you can, when you bring your mowers back in, you wash them out. You don't just, send I used to work at a golf course when I was a kid, and that was the first thing we had to do, is come back and wash the mowers off, and then they set them out to dry before you park them. It just seems like there needs to be some space, whether it's cutting down office space, somewhere where you can come in and, right? Yeah, so.
We put one.
Oh, you do, okay.
Right by the gate on top there.
Okay.
To the left. By the.
Oh, you're gonna wash out, okay.
Yeah, there'll be a basin and kind of slope that way, but
Okay.
we thought of that.
Okay. I figured y'all would know.
What are you gonna do for a space to change the oil? In your various pieces of.
In the shop.
What's that?
In the shop, in the pull through.
You're just gonna change it on the floor? I mean,
We have,
You have a
concrete
lift?
floors are set up for lifts.
It's high enough for lifts, sir.
And then the fueling to the outside to Litchfield?
So that's actually, that pull through is for the fuel truck, to pull into what looks like a bus bay and load into the tank. But trucks and everything are still gonna load inside the yard. They're gonna fuel themselves inside the yard. That bus pull through is going to be for the fuel trucks because they can't navigate. Right now they go in and they do a big U-turn. They fill up the tank and they pull out. We don't have that maneuverability anymore because we're maximizing space. So what's gonna happen is they'll pull into that area right there and they'll connect the hose that's underground to the underground piping and fill the tank from there. There's in Peoria that we're kind of using it as a model that Randy showed us, so we're gonna use that as a kind of.
Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Could you go back to the floor plan? A huge part of that improved space is that break room. Are we really gonna have employees taking their hour lunch and drive back to this area, eat their lunch, and then drive back to their job during their lunch hour? I mean, that,
Vice Mayor, it'd be prudent for our Director of Public Works to answer that question. I don't know the operations as well as he does.
They do, Vice Mayor, take them in for breaks. That's fine.
good for breaks.
For their lunch breaks. Are you asking if they?
Are they traveling on their break, their lunchtime, or are they traveling on
They're traveling on their lunchtime.
all the way back to, okay,
No, it's not that far. It's
Yeah.
Like a mile. It's
okay.
a mile.
My other question is, the fence on the south side. Do we have room there to bust into that park and to make this a little bit bigger? Or is that dedicated right of way?
Now you wanna take it for something like Kiwanis Park? Oh, come on.
We have no room. The short answer is yes, we have room between right of way and wall. There's a storm drain pipe under there. There's a few things to consider, but we have a space that if we really wanted to do that, we could move it off.
Wouldn't that be a more efficient use of the space than what's kind of a dried up cactus garden?
The Vice Mayor, I think Attorney Keith would know how much it costs per foot of rebuilding that wall. Because then that wall would have to be.
Is that one of our new walls or one of the old walls?
That's an old. But it's about 800
Yeah.
bucks a foot.
Yeah.
It's not cheap.
And there's a few utilities there and APS is that big old honking down guy wire that actually goes into the yard, so that would be something to have to navigate around.
They needed space, they could always worry about it in the future.
Yeah, we done it later.
And I would just,
Councilor James.
thank you, Mr. Mayor, I just ask you to the fellow council members, just to drive down and stand in the front of the building or what's proposed and look at it. I mean, you can look at it on your phone and you can see that there's, the trees align it. I mean, a lot of this building is gonna be far out of the side of public view. I just don't like the height differential and things like that. Maybe I'm in the minority here, but I don't.
It's gonna look disjointed, isn't that a metal type of building on the back there with a 20-some odd foot ceiling and you got an office building on the front? It's just the same building all the way through.
Yeah, you're only seeing the face.
Vice Mayor, that is one of the things we're talking about as far as.
Is it a metal building on the back or is it gonna be?
I don't know that have we finished that? Okay, thank you.
Metal.
That's-
Okay, so we're attaching a metal work building to a concrete block, probably office building.
Stick built as far as.
Block.
Stick?
Okay, thank you.
No, it's called.
Block.
Well, yeah,
It's all block, but even the back building's block. It's just you're using.
you just told us it was metal.
It's not, you're not putting it metal, it's block, isn't it?
Right now, it's
Block or
there's
stucco.
options. It's prefab metal is the best price and block would be the general increase that we're trying to see what it is. That's my question to them.
What It's flock or metal, it's a big square work building, it's still with the same.
And my, Mayor,
Councilman James.
my only comment to that would be, having worked at a trucking company for a long time where you have office and then you have shop. It's not an uncommon thing to see, and that's exactly what we're proposing here is office and work and shop. So it would be different looking, but I would continue to say that back half of the building where the shop is going to be so far out of the public view that it's, for me, it's not a deal breaker.
And the front could get some more embellishments on it a little bit to make it stand out, look a little nicer. That could be paint, it could be with stucco, it could be with.
I think one interesting point on this, I don't know, a year or two ago, we looked at moving public works altogether, because it's an odd place to have public works where it is. You've got houses on one side and you've got a church on two other sides. It's an odd place for public works. That being said, there's only so many places in the city that you can have public works because it's really complicated by lawnmowers. And what I mean by that, for example, we talked about building public works at Monument Point and getting them out of the city and getting them to an industrial area. But what that leads into is trailer and lawnmowers every day into the city, because obviously you can't drive a mower down Camelback Road, right? If there was another place to move that was more industrial, I would suggest to move it out of the city altogether. But that complicates it again because of mowers. But so you have to consider that with this building again, what surrounds it, churches and houses.
I think Justin's right. I mean, it is gonna be a work facility. I didn't realize we were moving the other teams into it to have a public facing space. The front does look a little bit unfinished, at least in these markups, but it is gonna be a work facility. No one's gonna see anything beyond this view.
That's fair.
Right, I mean, basically, I think we just need to work on the facade some, so that this front part, just because the front part looks disjointed. It's not just that it's disjointed because the back's different, it's, the whole front's just kind of a weird design.
Thank you. I appreciate all the feedback. This architect and I are not friends.
Good.
He does not get holiday cards from me. We're often on different pages. And so with that, Mayor,
All right, so at this point, is there a motion to approve the concept of the new public work facility and direct staff to? I don't know if you, I assume you have to do plans to get your construction bid?
Mhm.
Yes or no? So.
We're not at that. We're gonna be getting, what's considered about 60% plans here very soon.
All right, so you have enough plans to get a construction estimate.
It's being distributed to contractors to start with that.
All right. So move forward with getting a construction estimate, but to take the design, the facade design, particularly for the front, back through design review to improve the overall look of the project.
So moved.
For a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion is adopted. Next item is the consideration of the debt limitation policy.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This was first introduced at the meeting last month. Nothing has changed since last month. I'm happy to answer any.
Second.
We have to do roll call on this one?
Any ordinance, sir.
All right, it's been moved to approve this ordinance because of I guess because of the strength of the
Perfect.
presentation by
I like it.
our Assistant City Manager, Finance Director. So is there any further comments before we vote? All right, please call the roll.
Councilmember Allen,
Aye.
Councilmember Brainerd Watson. Councilmember,
Aye.
Member Claire,
Aye.
Councilmember Fraser,
Aye.
Councilmember James,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Faith,
All right.
Mayor Show.
Aye.
Vote is unanimous.
Struggling.
No, I'm just thinking I should vote no, just no. All right, next item, adoption of zoning code amendment under ordinance 25-295. But this is with two versions
That's correct.
and the understanding that either version is going to end up having a language amendment so that if the zoning administrator decides to go contrary to the recommendation of the DRB, that it will be automatically appealed to the council. So is there a motion for either A or B of the two options? With option A being the staff option and option B being the Allen option.
Can I move for the Allen option?
You can, yes.
I'm gonna move for the Allen option.
I'll second.
If I could make one quick note on that, there is one small statement we would need to change that would be in section, bear with me here. In section 12, as far as the zoning administrator, basically it'd be striking the statement or that involve distractive or contextually unique design. So obviously, and Councilmember Allen knows about this already, I just want to make sure that's clear.
We also can like have it change. If appeal.
Yes.
Appeal, DRB and whatever, that's fine.
Right, that's what I just said. Motion, either motion is gonna have automatic appeal from the decision by the zoning administrator if it's contrary to DRB recommendation. Okay,
So that's the motion on the table.
correct. That's the motion I believe that Councilman Allen made.
I just had a comment.
Sure.
Since I didn't comment when we were in work session, I respect the work that you put into this, and I also respect the role of our citizens to continue to have an advisory role, but I also wanted to say, I think in an act of good faith here, we have a tremendous amount of checks and balances already in place here with all these options, but we still have our DRB that's going to be in place. We still have Randy. Randy knows what we like and what we want in the city. Randy still has to report to Matthew. Matthew still reports to the city council. So we still have, I mean, I just don't see Randy on a whim unilaterally approving a pyramid with, pink pyramid and, on a lot. So it's.
I do see that.
So Randy was one of the guys behind the scene on that. But the problem, Councilman, is that Randy's not gonna be here.
For sure.
So I have been here wanting to know people in the planning chair that you couldn't trust that way. So we need that appeal process. We need DRB and appeal process to make sure that it doesn't get out of hand.
Completely agree.
You have something substantive to add to this?
I do,
Okay.
just slightly. Thinking about this between our works study session and now, one of the things that we can look at when we go to do the objective standards and finalize more of the zoning code amendment is the fact that, as you pointed out earlier, there's some ambiguity with regard to not only the statute, but I think the statute was designed specifically to promote affordable and quick housing. And a lot of what the DRB deals with and what goes to what's been approved by the DRB has been amendments to current existing houses, whether it's an add-on or a change or something like that. And I don't think that is what the legislature intended with regard to some of their requirements. So we will take a look at that as we go through and finalize some of these things. But I just wanted to point out that I think we do have a good amount of room to work with there, because a lot of what happens in Litchfield Park isn't, we don't have major development going on for housing. Most of what the DRB hears is, and I sat through that meeting a week and a half ago, and it was, modifications to existing houses. And how do those comport with the current house and the neighborhood? So I think we're gonna have some room to work with that.
I mean, this legislation was specifically an arrow shot at a couple of cities. Nothing to do with Litchfield Park.
Are you
We'll
saying,
deal with it.
yeah, are you saying design review board can be voting and not advisory on certain issues?
I want to take a look at that in some more detail, because I think when it comes to, for example, if somebody's coming in for plans with regard to a remodel of an existing house, I don't know if that falls with, as the mayor said, with regard to design review plans, if that would be considered something that would have been considered under that statute. I think that statute is dealing with actual development, new construction, not necessarily, I want to add a carport or I want to add a garage to my existing house, because those are going to be more subjective, because you want that to match the existing structure, and you can't, we can put in some objective language with regard to matching of existing structure and stuff like that, but I think you would be able to have some flexibility there, depending on, as Councilman Allen also mentioned, the DRB doesn't want to hear every instance where somebody wants to do a shed in their backyard. So I think we will work through that process and get input from DRB, but I just wanted to point out that was one of the things that I thought about with the mayor's comments was, a lot of what we're doing in Litchfield Park with regard to modifications, I don't think was part of what was contemplated when the legislature passed this. I think they were focused on Buckeyes, Queen Creeks, big development areas. How can we spur and expedite development of affordable housing?
Okay, so is there any more discussion on the motion?
So you want this passed like it is, and we're gonna tweak it later to meet the deadlines? Is that what we're doing?
That's what we're doing.
Yes.
We're gonna rewrite a couple little sections in it. And then they're gonna go out and work on objective standards and walk on what's enhanced and what's not enhanced. And then they're gonna realize that they need to amend this ordinance, and we're gonna amend it, and we're gonna do all kinds of stuff in the future, but this gets us through December 31st.
And you'll reflect that in a minute.
Yes.
Yeah, reflect it all. Okay, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Allen,
Aye.
Councilmember Bernard Watson.
Sorry.
Councilmember.
Sometimes it just does not want to unmute.
Aye.
Councilmember Fraser,
Aye.
Councilmember James,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Faith,
Aye.
Mayor Show.
All right.
It's unanimous.
Okay, so that takes us to our number, it would be number 8D, which is where we have the request to speak on Scout Lodge. So we'll let you speak first, and then we'll go on to consider the item.
Thank you, council members, including Councilmember Watson. My name is Sonny Colbert. I live at 409 East Fairway Drive. I think all of you know me. Been in the city since 1982, raised two sons here. And I want to speak on the Scout Lodge because I was really pleased to see the plans and the discussion with the way it's moving now. I've been a part when I was working with the city, with youth for over 30 years in my capacity with the city and volunteering in different aspects. And part of them was scouting. Two sons that went through the Eagle Scout program here, just as Vice Mayor Faith's sons did. And it's a very important part of our culture here in Litchfield Park. And so I was very pleased to see the direction that's being proposed now. I also sat in on other discussions on what it could be if we moved it in different aspects of it. But what I heard tonight, and I don't know if you're going to rediscuss it again and show the pictures, but from the special meeting, I really appreciate the way it's going, and I support it 100%. That's something that reflects the building that was built in 1954 by Paul Litchfield. Paul Litchfield really appreciated scouting all across America, and of course, especially in Litchfield Park. And if you might not know, but all the flags that show up all around our community at all the federal holidays is a scout project, and people can subscribe to having them come around and put a flag. And it's so neat to see them out there. They find a little space to put it. They have a little map, and sometimes if they can't find it, you go out and show them where to put it, where it is, and they step back and salute and everything. And they do the same thing when they come to pick it up. Eagle Scout projects have been a part of our community. My son's, one of my son's scout project was to paint the outside interior of the rec center, the full thing. And he helped organize and oversee that with some guidance. My other son painted the wall at Turtle Park, the little wall that goes along both sides of it. And there's so many other projects within our city, such as the Kiwanis Park was part of a scout project. so many things that we owe to scouting. And so I really appreciate what you're doing. And I just wanted to show my support for it tonight.
Thank you. Okay, is there a need for further discussion on this item? If not, is there a motion to direct staff to enter into the MOU with the scouts?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion is adopted. We will finalize that MOU. Next item is item E on the Litchfield Britton Roundabout.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor and council, sorry for the late edition of this one. So this, of course, is for the new roundabout to be built at the Hilltop. So staff has sent out plans to several different contractors for proposals. We have received several proposals back. What we would ask for is the authority for us to continue negotiation and approve a contract not to exceed 2.8 million to build the Litchfield Britton Roundabout. Just to be totally clear, the contract doesn't exist yet. So, we would be requesting that permission to keep negotiating on that price and to approve a contract. Obviously, part of that is we need to build this roundabout sooner rather than later. And of course, there is no December council meeting. That's some of the reasons why. Keith can tell you more about the reasons, thinking how much I can disclose. Our lowball proposal right now feels that they can get the roundabout done by loop days. I don't know how that's possible. I don't know how, verbally, thank you. So, Keith, would you like to speak further on the proposals as far as public information?
We received 3 proposals, the fourth contractor didn't want to bid on it at the time. 3.6, 3.7, and 2.6 million prices. For the same exact plan said. So a little bit across the board, but the contractor that's the lowest price one does have a very good history of constructing arterial roadway projects, and so.
And those prices are on 60% plans. So that's where the wiggle comes from. If our low ball bid is 2.6, we're asking up to 2.8 because the plans aren't 100% yet. So we'd like to have some flexibility in there as needed.
Budget was 2.2?
That's correct, sir.
And what I had suggested to staff was that it would make sense to get this approved for the authority to go negotiate, because we don't have a December meeting. If we can't get this in place in the next several weeks, then we are gonna have trouble getting it done in time, and we are gonna impact others, which we'd like not to if possible. I think, and the way I looked at it is that 60% plans gives us an opportunity to work with the contractor to lower the price. I think the goal that should be expressed as part of this motion is that it come in at 2.2 million, and that you work with the contractor between 60% plans and 100% plans to reduce as much as possible, reduce the cost of the program so that we bring it in at budget. So that was my suggestion. And comments from the council and or a motion to move this forward so we can get it done.
I mean, I agree. We can't let our speed of government slow down the regular speed of government. And I mean, I think there's a larger discussion, but at this point in time, we got to keep pushing the ball down the road.
I think my only comment is that from when we were first talking about the CIP project, this particular roundabout was $2 million, and then it went to 2.2, and now it's 2.8. And so over the course of, less than a year, we're verging on close to $1 million over what we had originally thought. So I just want to make sure that we are being good stewards of our funds and make sure that we're doing exactly what we need to be doing to make sure that we're staying as close to budget as possible. This is what we budgeted. All of the projects seem to come in over budget, and then we have to vote for more. And so that sits with me every single time we have to do something like that. I don't want to do that in this case.
Absolutely. And I think that's a good train of thought for council members on future roundabouts. As you know, we're planning the roundabout at Camelback and Sun Health. What we're also discussing one at Villanueva as well. Traffic lights about $1 million. Something to think about in the future.
are we missing on estimates? Or is it just the increase in materials that is causing?
Keith?
Both. The engineering world is having a tremendous problem being accurate, and I'm seeing it, from what we're getting and what I'm seeing with some of my colleagues. It's one of the biggest complaints I get from CIP, from Tucson, Scottsdale to Goodyear, Buckeye, Elgin. So, we had that issue with, Camelback Park. That's probably one of the ones you're referring to. Got the engineer's estimate and then had four contractors look at it, and they were all a bit above it. No. So what I try to do is I try to actually beef up their prices before I put it to the CIP. Sometimes when we do that, we're a year in advance, you know, putting $2 million in there, and then the industry has increased since we did Camelback Park, for instance, and went 428 to 540, and that was a year. And that follows along with some of the other prices we're getting for the wall. So it is an industry thing as well.
It's
Good
probably
time to
close.
be a builder.
I'm sorry, sir.
It's a good time to be a builder.
Great time to be a builder.
Feast or famine, and right now it's.
So it does feel like it's about 20% off in plus or minus a little bit, but it feels like consistently we're off almost 20% from estimated amount to deliverable.
What I see is a lot of engineers use old numbers, and a lot of engineers don't do construction management, so they'll just stick with smaller numbers. And I can recognize it, at least put something into it, but it's not till a contractor gets his hands on it that you're able to see what.
Mr. Vice Mayor.
We built a roundabout on Litchfield Road. We went through this traffic light versus roundabout situation. And we were, if I remember right, 100 to 200,000 apart between the roundabout and the traffic light. And I think the roundabout was a little bit more expensive than the traffic light. You're talking now $1 million for a traffic light and 2 point something for a roundabout. Traffic lights haven't changed that much, but the roundabouts have gone up 2.5 times.
Honestly, signals used to be, not too long ago, $200,000 to $300,000. I did modular signals like we have out here for the city of Goodyear in 2015. It was $400,000 for those. They're now 1.5, 1.6 million. But the standard ones we do for McDOT, those McDOT style that are on Camelback, those used to be $200,000 not too long ago, and they're in the neighborhood of 800 to $1 million. So steel is just, that's what it is, and they're spending 75% of that price is on the material and the delivery and the concrete for the foundations. The roundabout we're going to do up on Britain is a little bigger. It's a bigger piece of road and bigger side streets. I think this one right here was just under 2 million, but it was also rolled into unit prices that were part of the park. So I got a little bit of cost on that.
So we're looking for a motion at this point?
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
You're moving to approve having staff negotiate with the contractors, but with the goal of getting it back to 2.2 million through value engineering from 60% to 100% down. Correct. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded, yes? Is there further discussion on the motion?
And the authority to sign as well, right?
Correct, and the authority for the mayor to sign the contract if we get to that point. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Next item is executive session under 9B. You get a motion to move into executive session, please.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're in executive session.
Bye, guys. Sonny, good to see you.
All right.
I have to hit it one more time.
Better than I thought.
Go ahead. We're adjourned.